Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy, and welcome back to another episode of Cinderella Phenomenon. So, let's jump right back in. Ophelia takes the topmost sample of the fabric and begins to inspect it as Melanie walks up to me. Where's Rod? He returned to his studies. Oh, right. He has history lessons today, and I am yet to finish my history homework, which is due tomorrow. As Melanie muses aloud, I ponder what Rod told me earlier. I must become Melanie's friend. But is that really a good deed? I hope Rod didn't send the servants out before he went back to his room. I wanted to tell him that Viorica had already called on guards to bring the boxes inside. Maybe he decided to start his lessons earlier so that he could make your dance lesson this evening. Dance lesson? Father wanted to hire the best dance instructor in Angiel, but I honestly feel more comfortable with Rod teaching me. He's a good dancer, so Father has allowed it. That is a surprise. I did not know Rod could dance. He used to prefer singing, but then... Ophelia trails off. I know that she is talking about the fairy tale curse, but I do not expect her to divulge such information to a maid like myself. He's decided to focus on his dancing for the past few months. Ophelia glances down at the fabrics, then looks up and smiles at me. Melody, would you mind helping me with this? I obediently walk over to the fabrics Ophelia wants me to look through. They are apparently samples for the tablecloth that will be used during the ball. This is going to be a long day. Rod comes immediately to the throne room after his history lessons to start on his dance lessons with the Melanie. I am only standing here because it is my responsibility as her personal maid to watch over her as she practices. I watch as she steps out of rhythm and Rod sighs at her. You're doing it wrong. That's the 10th time. Sorry. Again. They start from the beginning, and I am unable to stifle my own sigh when a Melanie messes up at the same step again. This would make the 11th time. I really am terrible at this. Would you rather have the royal dance instructor teach you? He has more experience teaching than I do. Oh no! I really do want you to teach me, Rod. I'm sorry that I'm such a slow learner. You were always good at everything. Singing, dancing, cooking. Prince Rod cooks? Yes, Rod does cook. He's very good at it. You didn't have to tell her that, Em. Does it really matter? I love bragging about how talented my little brother is. I see a tinge of pink in Rod's cheeks as he turns away. Is he embarrassed? And Melanie looks down at the floor, her smile smaller. I wish I was as talented as you, Rod. I'd always thought Melanie was overly optimistic. She always seemed to bounce back with a smile, no matter how many times I pushed her away. Now I cannot help but reconsider that thought. Still, seeing her like this only irritates me. Pitying yourself will get you nowhere. Not everyone can be perfect at everything when they first start out. I remember when Mother gave me similar lessons. She was always such a harsh teacher, and she always hated when I showed weakness in front of her. She made me keep practicing until I had perfected whatever it was she wanted me to do. Failure was never an option. I never had time for self-pity. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself, just try harder. Let failure inspire you to do better. Melody, She's right, Rod. Instead of complaining, I should be working harder. I let out an exasperated sigh and crossed my arms. You always look at your feet whenever you reach the underarm turn. Instead, focus on counting your steps and let Prince Rod lead you. Worrying too much on your next step is what puts you off rhythm. And Melanie stares at me. Can you dance, Melody? I can. Why? Wow, that's amazing! There is nothing amazing about my being able to dance. Her praise makes me embarrassed regardless. Maybe I could learn faster seeing someone else do the dance first. Oh no. Em, what are you talking about? It might be easier to copy the steps if I have someone perform them first. She turns to me suddenly, eyes bright. Would you help me? I am meant to assist Melanie in any way that I can, but dancing with her brother? We're gonna refuse this. Even if I do agree, I doubt Rod would even want to dance with me. You cannot learn how to dance by watching someone. You have to practice the steps yourself. But if you need a break, you just... I am messing up. If you need a break, you could just say so, Em. No, really. I find it easier to learn through visuals. Sorry for making you uncomfortable, Melody. Let's just continue our practice, Rod. Melanie smiles at me, but it is obvious that she looks more disheartened now. Rod looks at his sister before shaking his head. He turns to walk toward me, and he holds out his hand. Would you dance with me? What? Rod leans closer to me and speaks in a low voice. Play along. This is just for Melanie. He's actually curious about your dancing, princess. I am surprised when Sebi suddenly whispers to me. I can tell it is Sebi by the change in the pitch of voice. Oops. Sorry, Rod. Rod glares at Sebi before looking back at me again. Well? I shift my gaze to Melanie, who is practically beaming. I sigh and take Rod's hand. I know Melanie does not like treating me as a maid, but this is a little too much. Fine, just this once. Aww. I mean, it is cute that they're dancing, but ew, that they're siblings. I put my hand on his shoulder, and he places his hand on the small of my back. Rod looks at me, but quickly averts his gaze. Is something wrong? Yeah, you're siblings. I didn't think I would ever have to dance with you is all. Neither did I. Rod looks at me again. This time, he has an uncomfortable scowl on his face. Yes, so would I. He is not the only one, he's not the only uncomfortable one here. We both start dancing, and I mentally start counting the steps. It has been a long time since I last danced with someone, but the steps come to me naturally. The dance is rather simple. While Rod and I move stiffly, I cannot help but notice his careful footwork. I realize that Rod really is a pretty decent dancer. Of course, I would never openly admit that. When we stop, I hear Melanie clapping her hands as she looks at the both of us in awe. You really are a good dancer. Thank you so much for showing me the steps. Now I know for sure what to do during that part. I just shrug at her before stepping back into the corner. Melanie takes her position in front of Rod once more. This time she has a bright smile on her face. I cannot believe something as simple as that made her so happy. At the end of the day, Melanie has managed to do the steps correctly. She tells me many times how grateful she is for the help. After practice, I return to my room and retire to bed. I think about how happy Melanie was. How could such small things make a person so happy? You stepped out of rhythm again, Melody. But, Mother, this is really hard. A princess never complains. You must perfect this waltz by tomorrow. Otherwise, you will not be able to play with your dolls for the day. But if you have time for objections, you have time to push yourself harder. Now, once again from the top. The following days are uneventful. Melanie continues her dance lessons with Rod. Her steps are still far from perfect, but I can tell that she has improved since my demonstration with Rod. Meanwhile, Rod still chooses to ignore me most of the time, though I have noticed that he is less cold than usual. At least he does not snap at me for no good reason anymore. Though Delora is no longer assisting me, she insists on staying in my room more often. She says that there is something important she wants to investigate, and I cannot even guess what it might be. I'd prefer not having her around anyway. Her constant chattering makes it difficult to focus on anything. Right now, I am still trying to figure out how I can achieve my first good deed. Almost 3 months have passed since I was first cursed, but I have yet to complete my first good deed. These are my thoughts as I head back to my sleeping quarters after dinner that night. Melanie excused me long ago, insisting that I go to my own room before she went to hers. I am walking down the hallway when I notice Rod heading down a familiar path. I follow after him. "Are you going to the march-in?" Rod jumps and turns around. The surprise on his face quickly fades into annoyance. "Don't do that again. And no, not today." Since I came here, I found out that Rod occasionally sneaks out of the palace at night through the secret passage to go to the march-in. Even now I am still confused as to why he goes there. He said before that he had given up on breaking his curse, which makes me wonder why he still visits. It also makes me wonder why he would refuse to break his curse in the first place. Is he okay being the way he is, or is his curse just really difficult to break? Why were you cursed, Rod? I am not answering that question. Why? I cannot help you break your curse if you refuse to tell me anything. I told you before that I do not need your help. But I chose you as my partner. You help me and I help you. It is highly likely that breaking Rod's curse will also count for a good deed. Rod scowls at me and crosses his arms. I'm afraid this isn't how this works at all. The sound of footsteps keeps me from coming back with a retort. We both turn to see Sir Alcaster approaching us. Prince Rod, good evening. Good evening, Sir Alcaster. Sir Alcaster turns to me and raises an eyebrow. Shouldn't you be attending to Miss Melanie? Aye. Rod silences me with a look. He moves to stand in front of me, shielding me from Sir Alcaster's gaze. We were just about to go get her. Let's go, Melody. Rod strides away, and I quickly curtsy to Sir Alcaster before following after Rod. I could still feel Sir Alcaster's eyes on my back as I walk away. I try to suppress a shudder. Rod and I walk through the hallway in silence. We both stop in our tracks when we hear the clattering of silverware. I look around and realize that the sound has come from behind a set of doors that is slightly open. The dining hall! Oh no! That's Melanie's voice. We do not see a Melanie when we enter the room, but there is a dizzying array of cutlery set out on the table. A Melanie? A Melanie surprises us both by crawling out from beneath the table. She flashes us an embarrassed smile as she gets to her feet, holding several forks and knives in her hands. What are you doing here? You should be getting ready for bed. Sorry. I eye the silverware on the table. I thought I could practice before I sleep today. It has already been an incredibly long day for her, and she is still doing this? I watch as Melanie puts the cutlery back onto the table in the wrong places. You need to rest, Em. I will, after I practice the placement one last time. She smiles at him before returning to the table. I don't know why a person would need so much cutlery. 1 fork, 1 spoon, and 1 knife should be more than enough for any meal. And all these glasses! If I recall correctly, this one is for water, this one is for red wine, and this one is for white wine. Give her the correct answers. That flute is for the champagne, the other is for sherry. Oh, right. But there are 2 more. The other is for juice, and the other glass is for dessert wine. The dessert wine glass will only be used during the dessert course, and the juice glass is only used when juice is being served as a course. Otherwise, it is placed next to the water goblet. I see. I see Rod staring at me out of the corner of his eyes. His lips twitch before he turns back to his sister. It looked like he was about to smile. Then what are these for? Melanie points out the group of forks in front of her. You use those every day, Your Highness. You should know the answer. Melanie points at them as she rattles off names. Dinner fork, fish fork, salad. Correct. You know so much about etiquette, too. You're really incredible, Melody. You make a better noble woman than I do. Even if I told her I was a noble, it's not as if she would believe me. I just read a lot about all of these things. You read and know enough to put them into practice? That's amazing. Especially since you haven't even been with us so long. Right, Rod? Rod shrugs. He does not, much to my surprise, disagree. Perhaps you should be my teacher, Melody. I could learn so quickly from you. And Melanie quickly straightens out the cutlery. Now that I think about it, I have come to realize that Melanie is much more than she appears to be. It is probably because I am forced to spend so much time with her as her maid. She is different, she is flawed, and not as conceited and more humble than I had originally thought. Maybe I should try lending her a hand. I may not be one of your tutors, but if you need help with your lessons, just ask me and I will do what I can for you. Melody? I glance at Rod, who is once again wearing that expression of surprise. I shift my attention to Melanie once again. You only have 1 month left to prepare, and as your personal maid, I feel it is my responsibility to help you in whatever ways I can. Melody. Melanie wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, and that's when I notice something glistening on her cheeks. Is she crying? You are extremely kind, Melody. Thank you. I will definitely take you up on that offer. I am still looking at Melanie when I catch a faint glow coming from the pendant on my chest. What just happened? Oh, what a pretty necklace you have, Melody. Thank you. Anyway, for now I think the both of us would benefit from some sleep. After escorting Melanie back to her room, I walk out into the hallway in a daze. What was that light? It seems like you actually managed to obtain your first good deed. I did not know he was still here. I look down at my pendant, astonished at what I see. A piece of the glass slipper. I gingerly touch the new piece that is hanging next to the existing glass slipper pendant. It is real! You're not too bad after all. Did he just compliment me? What? Rod turns away. Nothing. He walks away, leaving me alone with my thoughts. Chapter 5. Secrets. Good morning, Your Highness. Would you like to play with us? You want to play with me? Yeah, go play with us. We'll have lots of fun. Well, please, just for a little while. Maybe I can. Melody, what are you doing here in front of the gates? Mother. Good morning, Your Majesty. We were just wondering if the princess wants to come play with us. No, Princess Melody does not want to play with you. But, Mother, I do. Enough idle chatter. We must go. It is almost time for your dance lessons. But, Melody, do not make me repeat myself. Yes, Mother. It is still dawn when I wake up. As much as I want to continue sleeping, I have no choice but to get up and prepare for the day. The last thing I need is an annoying lecture from the head maid. I have almost become accustomed to waking up this early, even if I do not enjoy it. As soon as my preparations are made, I begin to make my way toward Melanie's room, should she wake early. I am about halfway there when I hear familiar voices. Standing far ahead of me are Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithros. Are you sure this is going to work? Have a little faith in me, my friend. Friends? We are not friends. Sir Alcaster narrows his eyes and then turns abruptly to look at me. Ah, Miss Melody, was it? Sir Mithros, Sir Alcaster. Have you been eavesdropping, child? He has no reason to be angry with me. If they were talking about something confidential, they should not have been openly talking in the hallway. I am on my way to Princess Melanie's room, sir. That is why I'm here. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe. By subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!